So I finally got round to watching the final 3 episodes of the mini-series Ironheart, and I'm not going to go too far into it, but here are my fairly quick thoughts. So on the last review, I was mostly negative, but I did say the final 20 minutes of episode 3, it gave me some hope going into this that it would get better, and yeah, I mean, I'll give a bit of a spoiler for myself. This is nicer than my first review was. And as a positive from the start, I do want to say, and I kind of forgot to bring this up, that he was in it. Sacha Baron Cohen being in anything, well, he's Mephisto in this, doesn't really matter. If Sacha Baron Cohen is in it, you know that it's going to be better for whatever it is, so maybe that's my personal bias. And I was quite down before about Riri's arc. Look, I'm not going to suddenly say, oh my god, it all makes sense, all slotted in, and it was peak Marvel. No. But was it an improvement? Yeah, some of her choices did make more sense, but I still think that they didn't do the likeable enough. They went too far on, I'm not going to say doom and gloom, but they went too far on the unlikable characteristics for me. But they did something really, really interesting with her that they haven't done with anyone else. So I've got to give plenty of points for this. And it was doing the deal with the devil, Mephisto, at the end of the series. Because, right, normally in superhero stuff, if you're going really generic, quite a lot of the time they get offered like, here's this thing, do this deal, and you're thinking either they're not going to see the deal through, which may have been their plan going forward if they continued with Ironheart or with Riri in general. Maybe the devil was going to betray, who knows. But you've got, oh no, don't do it, the devil's going to betray. Or you've got, I'm thinking about it, trying to tell the audience I'm thinking about it. Not today! And at the last minute, they literally go in, all that stuff. They win, they get it done, even though they were in an impossible position before, the odds were stacked against them, and the deal seemed like the sensible thing to do. But she did the deal with the devil, which makes sense for the sake of people, that she loves, in terms of, you will leave them alone. That made her more human, and also made it more interesting, because it was not I don't think it's what anyone was expecting, to be honest. Good for them. And it's not like it was, so at the end of Avengers Infinity War, when you've got the whole, well, the bad guys won, but we've got another one to come. Look, that was fine. And I really enjoyed Infinity Wars and Endgame, but that was still more generic. This was actually more interesting, so I have to give props for that. But at the end of the day, the rest of the gang was still Her mum was still Parker, one of the villains, was just I will slightly say as well, to be fair, that at this point there's so much MCU, and there have been good villains in the MCU obviously as well. It's not like we've had a string of villains. But when you've been going this long, like the first Iron Man film came out in the mid-noughties, like the current MCU, it's very hard to stand out. So I'm going to defend them there from that perspective, but they could definitely have done a better job. I mean, Christian Bale in Thor, for example, I was more disappointed by that, just to bring it up, because it was like they just did nothing with this. This was so meh, it was unbelievable. And I expected more. From this, maybe I didn't expect much more than a generic villain, but it's still like a bit, I won't remember them in a year's time. But something else I do want to defend, this actually sounds like I'm being kinder than I made it out to be, but she built the suit in a garage. How did she do that so quickly? Well, think about how technology works, right? Tony Stark rebuilt his suit in a cave in, I think, 2007, pretty sure 2007, right? So that's a long time ago in terms of technology, because I'm assuming we're going year for year in the Marvel Universe. But let's stick with that. Right. Technology gets easier to do. The ideas get spread. And also, she's supposed to be a genius. I'm sorry, that whole montage thing, that wasn't ridiculous. I've seen loads of stuff like that in the MCU. And to be fair with superhero stuff in general, it's fair game. They laid the foundations for the character to be able to do it, and yes, it is a bit OTT, but then if superhero stuff wasn't a bit OTT, even The Batman, which was supposed to be more gritty, more realistic, there was some OTT stuff, like when he gets hit in the head by the bridge, when he's doing the Batwing suit thing, like, come on. Then he just went, oh, I've got a concussion. Well, at most he had a concussion, so that's fair game in my opinion. And overall, it's not a great series, right? I mean, I thought it was worse at first, I have to admit, which isn't great. They're not going to do anything with it. They re-edited it, edited again, because they didn't know what to do with it. They obviously didn't think it was great. They had something that was worth something. It was sitting on the shelf, and they've clearly gone, we've got nothing else sorted for this. Chuck it in there, and we'll get some value out of it. That is all this comes down to. And it's not an abomination, but it ain't good either. So it's not going to mean anything. I don't think they're going to do anything with their character, would be my guess. Maybe outside of a side character in another thing, like maybe even less than Black Panther Wakanda Forever. Maybe that's the exact thing Riri will get, but that's fine in that role. So if you haven't watched it and you've watched this first, I would say it's not worth a watch. It's not really going to affect anything, I wouldn't guess, but if you do watch it, it's alright. It's alright, that's all I can say about it. But anyway, what did you think? Did you enjoy it? Perhaps you thought it was even worse than the biggest load of trash you've ever seen. Or maybe you just thought, like you, it's alright. But let me know below, please comment and all that good stuff. Subscribe, like, ring the bell, it's much appreciated. And until next time, I'll see you later.